You have to show evidence of self-awareness, your strengths and weaknesses, and awareness of the world around you. That's very important. And finally, always to be guided by reason and logic, not by emotion and sentiment. Right. So, one of the, I think, very key points which I would like to give you is never get into an argument with a panelist. One living example of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 in action. What can you tell me?
The creation of virtual worlds by Meta, wherein we are seeing this trend, an increasing trend towards virtual meetings or virtual weddings with Meta avatars. This marks a move towards Industrial Revolution 4.0.
Good evening, Devanshi.
Good evening, sir.
Am I audible to you?
Yes, sir, you're audible. I think there's some issue at my end. The voice is a bit faint.
Okay, as so long as you can, I'm speaking at full volume, so I hope you are able to hear me now.
Yes, sir, sure.
So, how are you today, Devanshi?
Sir, I'm doing good. Thank you for that.
Good. So, in today's session, I plan to walk you through the protocol which is required in the interview. Then we'll look at some of the traits of successful candidates, and I'll move to some practical tips on how you can make best use of your preparation time and maximize your performance. And then we'll move to some mock question answers, just so that you get an idea of what is required by the panelists. And finally,
Sure,
any
sir.
doubts you have, any clarifications you might need, I'll only be too happy to cater to that, right? So before we start, Devanshi, a quick introduction.
Sir, my name is Devanshi Saxena. I'm currently a resident of Bareilly. I've done my bachelor's in sociology, and post that, I pursued my master's in society and culture from IIT Gandhinagar. After passing out in 2022, I worked as a research associate for a few months with Dr. Ambika Ayadurai, and then on, I've been preparing for civil services.
Right, very good. How many attempts, Devanshi?
Sir, I've given 4 attempts. This is my fourth attempt.
Right. And interview, the
So
how
this
many?
is my first interview.
Okay, very good. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
By the way, you don't need to note down anything because they will give you a video recording.
Oh,
Okay.
okay, all right.
Right. So once you have the video recording, then you can note down whatever you feel is of importance. Right.
All right.
So when is the interview?
Sir, it's on 15th April,
So you have plenty of time, more than a month. Is it the morning or afternoon session?
in the afternoon session.
Okay. And your optionals?
Sociology.
Right. Good. So, Devanshi, in spite of the fact that it's going to be very, very hot, because this is a formal event, you'll be required to wear a formal dress. So,
Yes.
please go clad in a sari, right? And be fully aware about the sari also, where it's come from, what material, because if there's a lady member, she might ask a few questions, right?
Definitely, sir.
So you will knock, and the chairman will give you permission to come in. As you come in, don't be in a hurry to grab the chair. Stand near the chair, look around. In case there's a lady member, you wish her first, and then you wish the chair, and then you nod at the others. You're not expected to say good afternoon sir, good afternoon sir, good afternoon sir. That looks ridiculous also. Okay. So once you've done that, the chairman will ask you to sit. So just go and sit in a very relaxed manner, because the more relaxed you are, the better it is in terms of the positive vibes which are given out. So just sit in your normal fashion, and once you're in the hot seat, then questions will be coming to you right, left, and center, right? So all you can do is to do the best you can in terms of a response, because you don't even have the luxury of saying that this is out of the syllabus. Everything is in the syllabus here. And the only thing predictable about an interview is its unpredictability, right? But be aware of one thing, that this is not exactly a knowledge quiz. It's not that, like, if you are asked 10 questions, you give correct answers to 8, you'll get 80%. Doesn't happen like that. The reason simply being, that they are looking at you and trying to assess you from the viewpoint of officer like qualities, right? Now, having said that, knowledge does play a role in this, in the sense that a sound knowledge base is essential for a smooth interview. If you keep saying, I don't know, sir, I'll have to look it up, I cannot recollect, and things like that, then it gives a very poor impression that this candidate is not up to date with what is going on in the world. So it's always best to have a sound knowledge base, right? But what exactly are those characteristics which are being looked at? The first is integrity. So no guessing, no bluffing, no false claims, no exaggerations, no lies. You have to walk on the straight and the narrow. The reason being that these are very experienced people and they know at once if you are trying to pull a fast one, right? The second is lucidity, and by that is meant the ability to give well rounded, well constructed answers. You know, those which are able to be comprehensive. Unknown caller. Oh, sorry. Those which are concise and at the same time comprehensive. So that is a tightrope which you have to walk. And for that, you will need analytical ability. Analytical ability means that you go below the surface of the news and come to grips with all its dimensions, its nitty gritty, its nuances, right? And once you have that ability, then you move on to conceptual clarity. Then each of the concepts become crystal clear to you. Very often you see that the aspirants, the concepts are fuzzy, they are hazy, and they beat around the bush, they try and explain that, and because the concepts are hazy, they are not able to make an impact, right? So concepts have to be absolutely clear. So Devanshi, which newspapers are you reading?
Sir, I'm referring to the Indian Express and the Times of India for now.
Okay, Indian Express has a very good page called E-Explained. So when you go there, go with a notebook and a pen and jot down the main things. Because if you just casually read it, then you tend to forget also, right? I would suggest please add a financial paper to this. It could be Mint or it could be Economic Times. But very often questions come which have a financial or economic angle, and you need to respond. Now, moving back to those qualities, you would be required to give evidence of quick thinking, because sometimes they throw a trick question to you just to see whether you are able to handle it or whether you get flustered, right? So, at all times, you have to maintain your poise and self confidence, and you have to give balanced opinions, nothing extreme. You have to show evidence of self awareness, your strengths and weaknesses, and awareness of the world around you. That's very important. And finally, always to be guided by reason and logic, not by emotion and sentiment. Right. So, one of the, I think, very key points which I would like to give you is never get into an argument with a panelist. That is a losing proposition. So, if you find yourself being pushed into that corner, just say that, sir, in the light of what you have said, it seems I need to revisit my position, right? And I will have to read further about it. So that caters to his ego also. In the light of what you have said, that means that you are giving a nod to his superior knowledge in a sense, right? Okay. So in the time which is available, Devanshi, where are you based, by the way?
So right now I'm in Bareilly, and post Holi I shall be moving to Delhi.
Okay. So what you need to do is take about 100 A4 size sheets, right, and divide them into four categories. One would be your DAF, one would be your subject, one would be your work experience, and one would be current events. And then think of about 15-20 questions which are likely to come your way, right? No guarantee, of course, that they will come, but this exercise itself is very useful in giving you a shot of self confidence. So once you have jotted down those questions, then do a deep study of each topic and then reduce it to 4 or 5 bullet points. for ease of recall and in order of priority. And then sit in front of a mirror and practice, practice, practice. Because very often a question will come to you and you will be required to think on the spot. So give it some time, give about 10 to 15 seconds, and then respond to it, order your thoughts. And this exercise also will give you the a feeling of about voice modulation, how much of voice modulation you need to do. Very often, candidates slip into that error. They maintain a very even monotonous tone throughout, so that becomes very boring for the panelists. Whenever you want to underscore something, then your voice has to rise, and then it has to go in waves like that, right? So as to keep everybody interested. And the other thing is about looking at the panelists who has posed the question and looking at other panelists also. So I would suggest it's a call that you have to make, um, but roughly about 70% of the time should be at the looking at the member who has uh, posed the question, and 30% looking around. Don't make it too obvious, but just look around so that they also feel included. They should not feel excluded while you are addressing. You are essentially addressing the board and not a particular questioner. So from time to time, just look around. Okay, so now we move to the mock question answers, and there are basically two types. So one is a fact-based question. That, of course, is easier one to handle in the sense that either you know it or you don't. And if you don't know it, you just say, "Sir, I'm sorry, I don't know about this. I'll have to read about it." So that is taken care of. If you know the answer, then normally a fact-based question you can respond very quickly and give the factual answer. The trickier one is the opinion-based types, right? So, for instance, if I were to ask you about this, Devanshi, you've heard about the term climate change,
Yes,
but the current president of the United States, Mr. Donald Trump, believes that it is all a hoax because these kind of changes have occurred over centuries before also. And he has taken America out of the Paris Accord, and he's urging Americans to drill, baby, drill. What is your take on this?
sure, sir. Sir, I believe Mr. Donald Trump's stance is reflective of his political philosophy, and it has more to do with how he wants to shape his domestic politics. And I believe a major segment or a major locus of the Trump government has been to highlight how multilateral or international organizations are drilling away USA's money without benefiting them in return. So, in the long term, yes, it signals a change in the global efforts regarding climate efforts. And USA backing out of Paris climate deal is also a violation of common but differentiated responsibilities. But at the same time, despite the crisis, I believe it offers a new avenue for India to step up and take up global leadership in designing initiatives for handling climate change.
Right, Devanshi. Again, I would suggest that this is a very good answer, but you need to be a little more targeted towards the sequence of the question. So the first thing you need to say is that Donald Trump is scientifically incorrect because the earlier phases of climate change were actuated by Mother Nature, but this phase is anthropogenic, right? It is driven by human endeavor, and the worrying factor is that the volume of carbon dioxide emissions is 250 times more than in the pre industrial age, and the rate of global warming is 10 times more than in the pre industrial age. So, all these are leading to extreme weather events, melting of polar ice caps, rise in sea levels, and so on. So, instead of asking America to extract further fossil fuel and use it, it would be wise for America to take the lead in climate mitigation and adaptation. Right. So, my next question to you: what do you understand, Devanshi, by food security, and how is it different from nutrition security?
Sure, sir. So, food security basically means affordable, accessible food to entire population. Nutrition security is furthermore a subset of food security, which will ensure that the food that is being catered to the public, to the masses, is nutritionally balanced to support a sustainable lifestyle.
Again, a good answer, Devanshi, but you missed. You have to put it in sequence. So,
Okay,
so the three elements of food security: availability, accessibility, affordability. In that sequence, right?
sure, sir.
And nutrition security adds another layer by taking into account the absorption capacity of the body. So you can have a situation in which, for instance, a child is fed a very nutritious meal, but if he has diarrhea, then all the nutrients get washed away. So you have a situation where uh, you know food security is present, but nutrition security,
Nutrition security.
right?
Absolutely. Sure, sir.
Another question coming your way then. What do you understand, Devanshi, by Industrial Revolution 4.0?
Sure, sir. The Industrial Revolution 4.0 is basically the fourth phase of Industrial Revolution, and it is guided by changes in technology. That could be electronics and communication technology, and more recently, the rise of artificial intelligence.
Good answer, but I would like to give you a template, Devanshi. So my
Sure, sir.
response would be like this: that the term Industrial Revolution 4.0 was popularized by Klaus Schwab, the founder of the World Economic Forum, which meets annually in Davos. In the year 2016, and essentially it means the blurring of the boundaries between the physical, digital, and biological worlds. And some of the groundbreaking technologies which are involved in this enterprise are artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, gene editing, right? And Internet of Things, advanced robotics, etc. So now you see that template I'm using. The first sentence takes into account the context. How did this term come into popular usage or in the public domain? How did it enter the public discourse? Then the second, very important, you give the definition, because that means that nails the conceptual clarity I was talking about. And finally, you give the practical examples, so that it how it is playing out in the practical domain becomes evident. But suppose, Devanshi, that again the interviewer is not satisfied and says that what you have said is theoretically correct, but I want one living example of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 in action. What can you tell me?
The creation of virtual worlds by Meta, wherein we are seeing this trend, an increasing trend towards virtual meeting or virtual weddings with Meta avatars. This marks a move towards Industrial Revolution 4.0.
So you are referring to metaverse.
Yes, sir.
Right. Again, it's a good example, but the example I would like to give would tie in with the definition. So I would like to talk about telepathy. It's a device which has been implanted in the human brain using advanced robotics by Neuralink, which Elon Musk owns, the company which is owned by him. And it consists of 1,024 electrodes mounted on 64 ultra thin wires, which map the brain's activity. And the final objective is to allow the brain to wirelessly converse with a laptop or a desktop. So, Devanshi, you are seeing what is happening here. You have the physical object, which is the device. You have the digital aspect, which is the advanced robotics, and you have the biological aspect, which is the brain. And the
Yes,
blurring of boundaries is taking place, right? The
yes,
interface is taking place, and it is an example which captures the definition part of what I had
yes.
said, right? So, Devanshi, please, I would suggest you have how have your mains gone?
Pardon, sir.
How have your mains gone?
Sir, I attempted all the questions I was required, but I think it's it would be baseless to predict anything unless the scores are out.
Right, of course. But you are a very good candidate for the interview, right? So when you go there, see, I'm saying that because you have a good personality, you have very good articulation skills, and you have a sound knowledge base. So when you go there, it should be at with a mind which is absolutely clear of any self doubts, of any cobwebs. Please go with that, you know, positive attitude that I am going to ace this interview, right? And you will ace it.
Thank you, sir. That's very kind of you. And
Any
thank you
doubt?
so much for highlighting the structures. I think this is the first time I'm understanding an answer from a structural point of view. So
Mhm.
if you could guide me a bit more on this, it would be very helpful.
So, the idea is that this structure is essentially very good for fact based questions, right? Because it gives a kind of format in which you can place the evolution of the term, then definition, and then the practical examples. But when it comes to opinion, then it gets tricky because then you have to formulate your own opinion and you have to back it up with reason and logic. And beware of someone trying to force their opinion onto you. You have to show courage of your convictions. The only time when you can allow that is if you're factually incorrect, right? So you see, the main thing is that any interview, you have to be mentally very strong, because it'll never be a smooth simple line like that. There will be ups and downs, there will be bumps in the road. So the idea is that if you are unable to answer three or four questions, don't allow it to dent your confidence. Just move on to the next, because you see, your knowledge base and the knowledge base of someone else, there would be vast differences. The person who's asking you would be so much more experienced. So don't feel compelled to answer each question. Also, if you know it, well and good. If you don't, just tell them that, "Sir, I'll have to read about it," and move ahead, right? So I think you will be in a very good frame of mind. Do that exercise which I've told you about. You'll be in a very good frame of mind when you go towards to the interview room. And as I said, you're going to ace the interview, no doubts about that.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
My final question to you: who are the first pair of twins in the IAS? Since you want to be in the civil services, first pair of twins in the IAS.
Sir, my apologies. I'm not aware of the fact. I'll read upon it.
You are looking at one of them now. So I have a twin called Love, and both of us made it to the IAS in our first attempts. Both of us got UP cadre,
Okay.
and both of us earned a mention in the Limca Book of Indian Records as the first pair of twins in the IAS.
So that is fascinating. I had no idea about it.
Right then, Devanshi, all the best. You'll do very well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your
Farhan,
time.
thanks a lot.
Thank you. I'll just exit the meeting.